and clients of Walker Gates Vela. I am Jennifer Walker Gates, immigration attorney, and I am here today with my colleague and associate, Diego Nuñez. Hey, Diego.
Hey, Jennifer.
Diego and I are both immigration attorneys who practice exclusively immigration law in Austin, Texas. However, we represent clients all over the United States, from all over the world. And today we are talking about, in this video, we are talking about what to expect on your first day in court. If you are in immigration court, we want to talk about what to expect at your first hearing. This is really important because we hear people talk about not wanting to go to immigration court, and that's understandable. Not wanting to show up, thinking about just, disappearing into the world and not showing up for hearings. But we want to insist that it is better to show up and go through the process in court. Even if you end up getting deported, it's better to do it in court than not showing up, because if you don't show up, you definitely will get a deportation order. You never know what can happen if you are showing up and actually battling for your right to stay in the United States. What do you want to share with people who, for example, are going to court on their own without an attorney? What happens on that first day?
We do hear a lot of clients where they're asking questions where they may not be saying exactly that, I don't want to go to court, but you can tell that there's this fear. And it's almost the fear that on that first day, they might actually get arrested and deported. And that's their number one fear. And this is why we're doing this video, is just to understand that there are not ICE guards on both sides of the court waiting for you. And then as soon as the judge says deported, and they grab you and they take you, and it's a scary situation. But if you don't know the process, it can be very scary. It's actually kind of boring the first day of court. And so when you're going on your own, you're going to go to any court in the United States, an immigration court. You're first going to have to go through security, and you're going to have hopefully not too much metal on you. And they may ask you to take off your shoes, and they're going to ask to see your notice to make sure that it is that day in that court where you have to go. Sometimes if the courts are overcrowded due to COVID, they're going to ask for your relatives to wait outside. So once you go through that security line, you're going to be guided to possibly wait until the judge is ready to see you. And then one of the guards might call you into that court hearing. And when you appear in front of the judge for the very first time, they may ask if you're represented. And if you're not, you're going to say you're not.
What does that mean, if you're represented?
If you are represented by an attorney or possibly by an accredited representative, hopefully, if you are represented, your attorney will be there with you. But when you're not, let's say that possibly you're looking for an attorney, or maybe you even know an attorney you want to hire, but you don't have the means to hire them at that moment. What we normally will tell people that consult with us is just to ask, because if it's your first court hearing, you're going to be asking the judge additional time so that you may be able to get an attorney. And there are some circumstances with people that they may not want an attorney. And so they will tell the judge that they're on their own. That is going to set off several things that the judge has to do. And one of them is first to explain their rights, so that they have the right to review the evidence that's provided against them. They have the right to provide a defense. They have a right to an attorney. They have a right to provide witnesses and things like that. Then the other process is that the judge is going to go through those immigration, the removal charges that are on this document. We call the NTA. It's called the notice to appear. And there's a bunch of other things that we can talk about the NTA, but just for now, for the purposes of this video, is these are the things, the allegations against you and the reasons why the government is saying that you are deportable.
So they would be like what, Diego? Like what would those sound like?
After they go through your name and your address and phone number, one of the things that they're going to say is that you are not a United States citizen and you're not a resident. Let's say that you are from Nicaragua. They might say that you are a national and a citizen of Nicaragua. And maybe you were caught after crossing illegally, not at a border, official border entry, port of entry, but let's say you crossed the river or you crossed the desert. They'll say you entered without admission and without parole. Due to those circumstances, they're going to find you removable under section 212, a blah, 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 blah. And those are the principal allegations that when if a judge makes those findings against you, then says, okay, then you're deportable. The judge might ask what your defense will be. Often when people are on their own, sometimes they know they want to take a voluntary departure and maybe they'll ask for it. Maybe the judge will grant them, maybe the judge will feel that they're not prepared and maybe they need additional time anyway. And then the judge will say, you know what, you're going to come back again at a later date and you're going to say what your defenses might be. It really just depends on the circumstances. There can be something that's completely different on your first day if you are represented by an attorney. If you're represented by an attorney today, it's a little bit different than it was just a couple of years ago. And what allows us now is there's a program called WebEx that allows us to appear before the court by video. And so if your attorney,
much like you and I are appearing right now.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like Zoom. You need to be invited. You're going to have a code, and you might be placed on hold or on wait in a waiting room, virtual waiting room, until the judge is ready to hear you. And if you are represented by an attorney, then you're going to appear in the attorney's office. Then the process is going to happen like it would in court, but you're just doing it in the comfort of the attorney's office. Hopefully it's comfortable. Maybe the attorney has a reason to want to go in person. And so then if you are going to go in person, then you appear before the court, just like I explained before. Due to COVID, the guard is going to tell you, you're going to maybe wait in the waiting area until they're ready to hear you. And then the judge is going to hear you out. And the first question they're going to ask is, do you want this attorney to speak for you? And hopefully you say yes. And so it's a very basic process, but it can be very scary if you don't know what's going on.
I mean, I think the most important point for people to understand is that if it's your first hearing in front of the immigration court, like you said, like nobody's going to be waiting there to like snatch you and deport you right from that moment. And if you want more time, if you want to ask the court to give you another hearing date later so that you have some time to continue to try to hire someone to help you, or if you're not going to hire someone, but you just need some more time to learn about your rights and understand what you're going to present to the judge as a way of defending yourself against deportation. That might be asylum. It might be a different form of asylum, like withholding or convention against torture protection. It might be cancellation of removal if you happen to meet the qualifications for that. Having an attorney is not mandatory.
Mhm.
It is a huge advantage. Statistically, we see that people who have an attorney are much more likely to be granted the opportunity to stay in the United States than people who don't. However, it is not required, and the government isn't going to pay for an attorney for you. You have to pay for it yourself if you are going to hire one. So, but your point about that first hearing, not being a danger for deportation, and often representing an opportunity to simply show up in front of the judge, make the judge understand that you are taking responsibility for your hearings. You need more time. You can ask for more time. And there's not really, I don't believe there's a judge in the country who wouldn't give a respondent in removal proceedings at least another, couple of weeks, if not 30 days or a couple of months or even a couple of years before another hearing to try to get some additional help or strengthen their case. Is that you agree, Diego?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the only time I could possibly see where a judge might not give you that much time, or maybe no time at all, is if there's some cases that have been reset, and so let's say you had a case in 2013 and it was reset to 2019, and then now it's 2021, and you've been aware this whole time that you're going to have a court hearing. The judge might say, well, you know what, we're going to go through the NTA before you decide what your defense might be. We'll give you time to get an attorney for that. The consequences of not going are huge. And this is why you should go, because if you don't go and you're aware that you've got a hearing, well, first off, you are going to be ordered deported.
Even at that first hearing.
At that very first hearing, you're going to be ordered deported in your absence. So then those allegations in the NTA, the judge is going to sustain whatever the government says with very little evidence. If you're out on an immigration bond, you're likely to lose that bond money. And if you get detained, they're going to hold you and you're not going to be eligible to be released on bond again. And people are always very surprised, because let's say that the circumstances have drastically changed. And let's say that now you have children and a U.S. citizen spouse. It doesn't matter. If you have that in absentia removal order, then you're going to be held without the ability to ask for a bond from an immigration judge. And so that's why those consequences are so that's why we say you should go, so you don't have to face those consequences.
Thank you, Diego. So I think our main points can be summed up in three. Number one, go to the hearing. Whether you have an attorney or don't have an attorney, or know what is happening in your case or not, just go to the hearing. That is critically important to protecting your interests long-term in the United States. Number two, if you're unrepresented, ask for more time. First hearing, ask for more time. Even if you don't get it, it doesn't hurt anything for you to ask for it. And most of the time, you will be granted some additional time to be able to either learn more about your case or hire an attorney. And number three is do hire an attorney if you possibly can. Make the investment. It's it's not a guarantee of anything, unfortunately, but it does dramatically increase your chances of being able to remain long-term. At least hire for a consultation to learn about the laws and what you may qualify for, and a little bit, about how to properly present your case. Those would be, I think, the main three takeaways from this video. We are going to do some follow-ups to this video to talk about that notice to appear, what Diego was referring to as the NTA. It is a really, really important document in your removal proceedings. So we're going to be talking about that. Also, next week, we'll be working to record and publish a video about what to expect at your ICE check-in, which is different than your court hearing. So please tune in for that. Please hit subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are publishing videos regularly to help the immigrant community understand your rights and responsibilities in the United States, how you can best protect them, and how you can have the best chance of winning long-term legal status and all of the opportunity and security that comes with that. Diego, is there anything else you want to add before we sign off?
No, I think you summed it up beautifully. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Everybody take care, and we will see you